Imagine this. It's Christmas Eve, 1945. Snow falls gently on a quiet farmhouse in West Virginia. Inside, a family of 12 laughs, sings, and unwraps gifts by the glow of a Christmas tree. It should have been the perfect night, a memory to treasure forever. But by dawn, their home was reduced to ashes. 5 children were gone. And the strangest part? Their bodies were never found. This is the haunting, unsolved mystery of the Sodder children.
Echoes of the past.
George and Ginny Sodder were proud Italian immigrants raising 10 children in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George ran a successful trucking business. Ginny was a devoted mother. Together, they built a warm, bustling home where laughter was constant and family meant everything. On December 24, 1945, the Sodders celebrated Christmas Eve in the most traditional way. Family gathered by the fire, children opening small gifts, older siblings helping decorate the tree while the younger ones played with toys. The house glowed with joy, the kind of holiday scene you'd see in an old painting. As the evening wound down, Ginny tucked the youngest ones into bed. But 5 of the children, Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, asked if they could stay up a little longer to play with their new toys. Ginny agreed, kissed them goodnight, and went upstairs to rest. It would be the last time she ever saw them. Around 1 a.m., Ginny awoke to the sound of something hitting the roof. A loud, sharp thud. She thought nothing of it and drifted back to sleep. Minutes later, she smelled smoke. Rushing from her room, Ginny saw flames snaking up the hallway from George's office. The house was on fire. Panic set in. George and Ginny shouted for their children. They managed to grab 4 of them and escape outside into the freezing night. But the 5 who had stayed up late were trapped upstairs. Their screams echoed from the windows, their faces illuminated by the fire. George tried everything. He dashed to the water barrel, only to find it frozen solid. He ran to his truck to drive it close to the house for a rescue. But the engine mysteriously refused to start on both trucks. He even tried climbing to the windows, but the fire was too fierce. Within minutes, the Sodders could do nothing but watch as their home collapsed in flames, with 5 of their children still inside. By morning, the house was nothing but smoldering ruins. The local fire chief and coroner inspected the site, and within hours they made their shocking conclusion. The 5 missing children were presumed dead, their bodies reduced to ash by the flames. But George and Ginny didn't believe it, and for good reason. First, the fire had burned for just 45 minutes before collapsing the home. Experts later said that wasn't nearly enough time to completely cremate human remains. Bones should have been found in the ashes, but none were. Second, George had ordered coal just before Christmas, and it sat untouched in the basement. Fires that hot should have left evidence, yet nothing. Even stranger, the phone lines to the Sodder house had been cut. A ladder that George always kept by the house, gone. And those trucks that mysteriously wouldn't start, both had been in perfect working condition just hours before. For Ginny Sodder, the fire wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of a nightmare she refused to accept. Day after day, she replayed that Christmas night in her mind. 5 children gone, but no bodies, no bones, no evidence of death. It didn't make sense. Determined to find answers, Ginny turned her kitchen into a grim laboratory. She placed chicken bones, pig bones, even large beef bones into her wood-burning stove and let them burn for hours. Each time, fragments remained. She showed them to George and whispered with certainty, "Our children couldn't have burned away completely. Something else happened." And then the sightings began. One neighbor swore she saw the children peering from a passing car the night of the fire, their pale faces pressed against the glass as the flames devoured their home. Another woman, working at a hotel in Charleston, claimed she saw the Sodder children the very next morning. They were with 2 men and 2 women, who kept them close and refused to let them speak. Months later, a woman in Florida reported seeing them again, walking in a strange group. Rumors spread like wildfire. Were the Sodder children alive, hidden, taken? Years later, the Sodders received a letter in the mail. Inside was a photograph of a young man with dark hair and familiar features. He looked hauntingly like Louis, their missing son. On the back, scrawled in strange handwriting, were the words, "Louis Sodder, I love brother Frankie. Illo boys, a 90132 or 35. No explanation, no address, just a picture and a riddle." The Sodders clung to that photograph as if it were a lifeline. Could it truly be Louis? Refusing to let the world forget, George and Jenny built a towering billboard on Route 16, plastered with the faces of their missing children and the question, what happened to them? For travelers, it became a haunting landmark. But for the Sodders, it was more than a sign. It was a plea, a prayer, and a promise that they would never stop searching. So, what really happened on that cold December night? One theory points straight at the mafia. George Sodder had made enemies. He was outspoken about Mussolini, politics, and corruption. Some believe the fire was no accident. It was revenge. The children weren't killed. They were kidnapped as leverage or punishment. Another theory suggests something even darker, human trafficking. During the 1940s, networks existed that preyed on vulnerable families. The sightings, the reports of the children in cars and hotels, the absence of bones, it all fits. Maybe the children were taken, hidden, and sold into lives they never chose. Then, there's the official version. The children died in the fire. Simple, tragic, final. Yet how do you explain the missing remains? The cut phone lines? The ladder that was moved? The witnesses who swore they saw the children alive afterward? Every answer only opened more questions. And then there was the photograph, the young man who looked so much like Louis. Was it truly him? Or just a cruel trick, a coincidence twisted into hope? The Sodder case became a storm of speculation. Family, neighbors, strangers, and even investigators debated endlessly. Was it fire? Was it kidnapping? Or was it something none of us will ever understand? George Sodder passed away in 1969, Jenny in 1989. Neither ever stopped searching. Even in her final days, Jenny sat by the window in black mourning clothes, clinging to the hope that her children were still alive somewhere. The surviving Sodder siblings carried the mystery for the rest of their lives. Some grew up continuing the search, chasing rumors and fragments of clues, while others tried to live normal lives but were never free of that December night. The family's billboard on Route 16 became a landmark, a constant reminder to thousands who passed by. 5 young faces staring out of time, asking for answers that never came. To this day, the case remains unsolved. 5 children vanished without a trace, leaving behind one of America's most chilling and enduring mysteries. So what do you think? Were the Sodder children kidnapped, or did they really perish in the fire? The truth, buried in ash and silence, may never be uncovered. That's it for today's puzzle, but our journey into the unexplained is just beginning. In our next video this time next week, we're going to examine every angle of the most baffling aviation mystery in modern history. We'll look at the theories, the evidence, and the new findings on what really happened to Flight MH370. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss a single detail.